A lot of things happen basically in this episode of Summoned to Another World for the second time. It's episode 11, so our ending is coming soon, but this one was with the battle of the 3 remaining generals. The 4th one was taken out last week, so we have 3 more remaining, so each one of them had a fight. And I will admit, the fights for each of them were actually pretty engaging. It was, at least for this anime. First off, the funny moments. There was actually quite a few funny moments in this one, i.e. this moment here, where Setsu comes back and number 1 girl of the harem had to establish her dominance and gets to Setsu first, knocks him over, and it's like, hey, I learned a few lessons from Commander Elka. Could you please sit on me? Which was like, what have you been teaching this girl, okay? Yes, we know you were a masochist, Elka, wanting to be sit on, but then you're gonna teach this to this other girl that likes, or that clearly likes Setsu. But it's like, hello? What training have we been doing here other than fighting? So this is a very hilarious moment. Then came another moment. Here we have a fusion, which I was like, oh, I didn't realize I was watching DBZ. I straight up was like, it's like, oh, they used the Patara earrings and combined for their fight here, which was like, okay, all right. I was not expecting this fight to go down this way, but there was some tentacle stuff happening here that I was like, wait, hold up, I didn't know I signed up for this type of anime all of a sudden. So the stuff started coming out of left field and right field, back and forth, and I was like, oh, we watching something else now, okay, all right. And then finally, the most hilarious moment that I don't think a lot of people realized is gotta be this. Why is this guy's butt in my face? Like, I understand with different anime, you got those weird shots, the weird upskirts out of nowhere or the weird side shots that it's like, what is going on here? But this dude who has this whole steel body type deal going on and everything, and he's wearing like a leotard. This camera angle, I straight up was like, they held this camera angle for a couple of seconds, and I'm like, why is his butt still in my face? Like, look at that. They even toned his butt muscle. I can literally see the side of the muscle of his gluteus maximus and everything, and I'm like, why? Come on now. I understand, but seriously? So, just chalk it up for one of those weird anime moments. That's all you can really do. But let's circle back and let's talk about these fights here. This fight with the 2 girls fusing in order to take down the ninja girl, I straight up I knew something had to happen because they were not winning and they kind of were a little weaker. But to have the fact that they fused together to make this bigger cat girl, if you will, I was like, okay, all right. This was a clear nod to some DBZ. I mean, DBZ is probably the most popular of the whole fusion thing, where it based, the fusion dance and all this. But their secret weapon was them coming together and fusing. And they, of course, had the 2-tone colors and such. Overall, I thought this was kind of ingenious, if you will, because I'm sitting back like, how are they gonna win? How are they gonna win? Oh, fusion, okay, they could just do that. And then they come back and win it. So overall, once they fused, the fight started to get a lot better. The next fight was between the guy with his butt out and the daughter of the Beast Kingdom. Now this fight I found a little weird because yes, he has a steel body. He's able to form his steel body in different ways. In this case, he basically changed his body into balls and metal balls and threw the balls at her. I felt that was the weakest move he could have done. If you could shapeshift your body, okay, and you have a body of steel, literal steel, or metal, or whatever you want to say, and you're able to break it down to its molecules, then the way you kill your enemies is having them inhale you. Because then, if you're able to get metal inside someone else's body, i.e. their lungs or whatever, you just form the metal spikes or whatever you need from inside their body, and then bam, the fight's over. Victory for you. But of course, I guess they couldn't really go that way because this was enemy's ability, and even so, he kills her. Like, they kind of kill each other. And I'm like, okay, all right, well, you know, she's dead. You know, maybe she can get to a medic type deal and save. He just goes over, and instead of finishing her off, he just goes straight up and is like, healing, and heals her body. Doesn't explain how he casts this ability, doesn't explain how this ability manifests from a body of steel or anything. He just straight up is like, yeah, you did a good job. You defeated me. Here, let me bring you back to life and heal you to 100%. I was like, excuse me? This came from left field, and yeah, tried to make him more honorable, I guess, but that was like, what is the phrase? Jumping the shark, I guess? They're just all of a sudden just coming out of nowhere. So that happened. And then the final fight. This was Setsu's fight against the guy that basically tried to break up the wedding. And this fight, honestly, all it really was, there's really not much to it. All Setsu did was just straight up hit him with a special move, and it broke his armor, and that pretty much defeated him. But I will say one thing about each of these fights. For this show, this is probably the best episode. For this show, these fights were probably some of the best that we've seen. But if you tried to take a step back and look at it from all other anime out there, these fight scenes seemed a little choppy. Like, they didn't really seem like it was fluid motion into each attack and movement, but it just seemed like the characters kind of just had a little movement, almost as if it was stop motion, but it wasn't stop motion. If you've seen the episode, you understand where I'm coming from. It's kind of hard to explain it, but there wasn't a lot of fluid motion to the fact that we needed more frames or more artistic in-betweens, if you will, for each of the attacks that happen. Overall, I think the fights could have been elevated. They could have been better, but the show seems to put more stock into the characters and their development and the talking than the fight scenes and things that happen. I mean, be honest, maybe the studio was, you know, crux for time, that they had to get stuff out, and so they didn't really put as much into the animation of the fights as everything else. But I wish the fight scenes were a little bit better. But what we did get, I can kind of understand where they're coming from. That's just my 2 cents on everything. And like I said, if you've seen the episode, you probably can understand where I'm talking about, and especially if you've seen the show up to this point. But definitely let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. But before we go, like I said, this was episode 11, so we got one more episode to go, which will be either, I don't know if it's a season finale, series finale, we shall see. But I will say that I have been looking forward to this finally coming to an end, so we can kind of look back on the whole series as a whole. Because like I said in the past, this was a very good premise and a very good thought experiment and ideas. And I can't wait to see how they conclude it. If they're going to be like, oh, we have another season coming in the future, or this is just it. But we'll see how things conclude next week. Until then, you guys, make sure you guys are liking the video. Make sure you guys are subscribed, because we will talk about more about this anime and several others on the channel. You guys take care of yourselves. Be safe, and Lord willing, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now. Make sure to check out the extra content on our Patreon page, and thanks to our current patrons.
This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon.